Dave Corinth here. Welcome to my shop. Today, I want to show off one of my newest planes, and that's this Stanley number 37, commonly referred to as the Jenny plane. Now, normally I acquire planes the old-fashioned way, which means that I have to go to flea markets and antique malls, yard sales, Facebook Marketplace, wherever I can find one hiding. However, this one was gifted to me. It was sent to me by a subscriber to the channel who asked if I would be interested in getting a number 37 plane. And of course, I said, yes. And I wasn't expecting it to be in this good a condition. Not only is it in good condition, but it's tuned, which is even better. I don't think I'm going to have to do anything to this plane. But we're going to find out today because I'm going to take this number 37 Jenny and we're going to put it through the test and see how well it cuts. Now, why is this thing called a Jenny and what is so unique about it? Now, it's called the Jenny because of its reference to, of course, the jack plane, which is right around 14 inches long. This one is a hair smaller at 13 inches long. And this, of course, is all in relation to donkeys. A male donkey is called a jack, and a female donkey is called the Jenny since it's a little bit smaller than this jack plane. And what is so unique about this plane? It looks like just a standard transitional Bailey style jack plane, but it's short and it's wide. It's only 13 inches long, but it has the largest iron that Stanley made at 2 5/8 of an inch. This is the same iron you would have seen on a Stanley number 8, yet it's only 13 inches long. And why Stanley made this plane, I have absolutely no idea. But apparently it sold well because they made it for almost 50 years, or a little over 50 years, I think, actually 53 years. Now you might be asking yourself, who named this the Jenny? Was it users, collectors, who? Well, actually Stanley did. It's actually listed in their tool catalog as the Jenny. And the Jenny weighed a whopping 5 pounds, and you could have bought this plane for $2.20. And it's in pretty good shape for a plane that's 100 years old. There's a little bit of Japanning missing here, but who cares? The wood is fantastic. There's no checking on the end. That end looks absolutely fantastic. There's no checking on this end. That end looks fantastic. The tote looks like it has a slight crack here that's been repaired, but it's going to hold up fine. Beach glues well, and this was done in a very professional manner. The knob, excellent condition, other than a few toolbox dings, which I kind of like that stuff. Makes the plane look like it's been used and well taken care of. Now, the gentleman that sent this to me did mention that he replaced the original iron with this newer Sweetheart iron. It should have had a V logo iron in it to begin with, but this one is in absolutely wonderful condition. It's nearly full length, and there's absolutely no rust on it. And who doesn't like that wonderful Sweetheart logo? And the gentleman took care of this plane. You can see that it's been waxed. There's a little bit of wax in those threads, and of course there's a little bit wax back there. And it's been there a while. That's not fresh wax. You can tell he took care of this plane, and the iron is sharpened, and the lever cap has been lapped as well, and it looks like the chip breaker has too. I haven't taken the iron off the chip breaker yet, but I have looked at the iron. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take this plane apart, inspect it, put it back together, and then we're going to see how well it works. And the first thing to inspect is, of course, the lever cap. And this one looks pretty good. I don't see any chipping on the leading edge. Japanning's about 80%. It is a B casting, as you can see. And next, of course, is that gigantic 2 5/8 iron. And it is a Sweetheart with no rust anywhere at all. This thing is in fantastic condition. And once we separate the chip breaker from the iron, we can see where the back of that iron was lapped flat. And that looks pretty good. I don't think it's going to take much attention. This iron is definitely sharp, and I think it will cut fine just like it is. You can see that it has a micro bevel. It has been honed. To what grit, I don't know, but it's pretty good. And, of course, the corners are relieved. This iron is also dead straight. I would say this is probably the original chip breaker to this plane because the patina doesn't match the iron. It still has its original gun blue finish, and of course you can see that the leading edge has been lapped to seat to that iron. Next, we'll go ahead and remove the tote and knob, and the knob is held on with a wood screw, and of course the tote is held on with the traditional barrel nut and rod. And as I mentioned earlier, the tote does have a couple of hairline cracks in it, but I'm not too concerned about that. This was done well and it can easily be glued because beech takes glue well. The frog is held in place with two traditional frog screws, except there are no washers. And these are threaded into brass inserts that go into the body. Of course, these are machine screws, not wood screws like the earlier ones. Next, we want to go ahead and remove the lever cap screw and, of course, the brass depth adjuster. And the brass adjustment knob looks good. I don't see any issues with it. A lot of times the knurling on these are really marred up, but this one looks really good. A lot of times you'll see japanning on the face of that frog, where when they machined it, they just didn't quite get it all. And that's very common on these older Bailey-style planes. Nothing to be alarmed about. Backside of the frog looks good. You can see it's kind of dull, but that is actually wax. And next I can take the frame off, and it's held in place with two wood screws. Now the frames on these planes are often found cracked, but this one doesn't have any cracks or damage to it at all. Just a little bit of that finish chipped off here and there, but that's not going to bother me. Now we can get a close-up look at those brass inserts patented by Edmund Shade. Now the stamp for these patent dates is actually a goof-up. It should say patented 7/9/12 and not 6/9/12. And of course, tribute to Leonard Bailey is present and Stanley rule and level, but the 37 is very faint. And now I can go ahead and put this thing back together. Now I get to test this thing out and see how well it's going to work. And the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the iron is not sticking out of the mouth just yet. And to do this, I like to use my thumb and just check both sides. And I think it's a little bit below the mouth. So we're going to take a test pass and see what happens. Nothing. So now I'm just going to slowly advance that iron till I get a shaving. And a lot of times you'll hear it when you pull back on it if it's actually advanced. Nothing. Nothing. There it just caught. And on the first pass, the mouth clogged up, which tells me one of two things. Either A, sole's not flat. Actually, three things. The sole's not flat. B, the chip breaker and the iron are not seated well, or the lever cap and the chip breaker are not seated well. So it's one of those three things. And looking at the sole, I have a known straight edge, and that looks really good. So I don't think the sole's the issue. I really have a feeling it's going to be this or this. So what I do is I'm just going to eyeball between this little side here and look down and see if I can see any light passing through there. And I don't see any light. So there's no way a shaving can get between the chip breaker and the iron. Now this has been lapped, but that doesn't always mean that it's flat. And also, it doesn't always mean that the chip breaker is flat where the lever cap sits. And if I look at this now, I can see where it's making contact here and here, but nothing in the middle. So that means a shaving is probably getting between the lever cap and the chip breaker. Is I want to check to see if this leading edge is truly flat. And all I'm going to do is just take a Sharpie marker Just kind of darken that leading edge over. And then we'll see how flat this thing really is. That's just about, what, 5 or 6 passes? Yeah, I'd say that's flat. Yeah, we're in good shape there. Okay, so it's not the lever cap. Now, next is, of course, the chip breaker. And like I said, you can see right there and right there. That's where that lever cap was making contact, but there's nothing in the middle. So we're just going to hone this thing down again on my diamond stone and see if we can get this thing flat across the top. So you can see there is actually a dip right here. It's making contact there and there. A little bit more work on the edge here, and this thing will be good to go. Getting better. Just that little area right there. I think we're there. I don't think that's going to cause. Now, back here, it's a little bit lower, but really, I'm really worried about right along that line. So now we can put the iron back in the plane. And of course, the lever cap. Do the old thumb test. Lateral needs a little bit of adjusting, right about there. Should not protrude up. But before we get too far, what I like to do is I like to take this and just kind of wiggle it a little bit. Like that. So we are right on the cusp of where I lapped that down. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. Whoop, there, I felt the knife grab right there. Looky there. Need to go that way just a bit. Ha-ha! Now it's not clogging. I can go a little deeper. Oh, look at those. Those are nice. Yeah. Whoops. Not clogging a bit. It's coming out of the top of the mouth just like I want. Well, that is a pretty good shaving in some really old pine. And that definitely is nice and smooth. Well, I am extremely pleased with the way this plane handles, and I couldn't be happier to be the owner of a Stanley Jenny number 37. And it didn't take much to get this old plane to work like it should. All it needed was some fine adjustments between the lever cap and the chip breaker. About 5 minutes worth of work, and this thing's ready to go. And to the gentleman from Canada that sent me this plane, I thank you once again. I can't tell you how happy I am to have this plane, and I promise you it's found a good home, and it will get used in my shop. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll make more. And of course, thank you for watching. Well, I think I know why Stanley made this plane now. And no, it's not to be a jack plane or a smaller version of a jack plane. This is meant to be a smoother. And in one of their catalogs, Stanley even mentions that by using quotation marks to indicate that the word above is meant to be used on the word below. And they clearly say Jenny Smooth. I can't tell you the level of self-control that I imposed upon myself not to say Jenny from Forrest Gump, because it's Jenny. How could it? But I didn't. I kept it together because I knew it'd be corny and I didn't say Jenny, but although I did just say it twice. But anyways, I wanted you to know that. So, all right, bye. Thanks for watching.